of covering the recipes? Or
I think we're on the same page for like part of it. So
Which
I
one do you
also
agree?
wanted to group them
Yep.
together, but
What was
not in
your
the way that you wanted to group them together.
Okay. Well, tell me your grouping.
Okay, so I broke my groupings down more into flavor and slightly like preparation. So, like, I wanted to put all the smoked turkeys together, all the basic turkeys together, all the spicy turkeys together.
Being 7 o'clock, I call the November 30th, 2022 meeting of the Franklin Town Council to order. Please pause for a moment of silence. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Announcements from the chair. All citizens are now welcome to attend public board and committee meetings in person. Meetings are live streamed by Franklin TV and shown on Comcast Channel 11 and Verizon Channel 29. In an effort to maximize citizen engagement opportunities, citizens will be able to continue to participate remotely via phone, or you may click the Zoom link that is on the posted agenda and on the town's website. The phone number is 929-205-6099, and the Zoom ID is 875-0453-9526, and then you need to hit the pound sign. Once again, the Zoom ID is 875-0453-9526, pound. Councilor DeLarco is unable to attend tonight's meeting, and I believe Councilor Pellegrini was going to be...
She's gonna be calling in, but she is not here.
Okay. Please let me know if and when she calls in.
Okay.
Okay? All right, moving on. Citizens' comments. Citizens are welcome to express their views for up to 3 minutes on a matter that is not on the agenda. The council will not engage in a dialogue or comment on a matter raised during citizens' comments. The town council will give remarks appropriate consideration and may ask the town administrator to review the matter. Is there anyone in council chambers that would like to speak on an item not on tonight's agenda? Okay, is there anyone out there in Zoom land that would like to speak on an item not on tonight's agenda? I'm not seeing any one of you, Alicia. Okay, moving on. Approval of minutes, we have none this evening. Proclamations and recognitions, we have none this evening. And no appointments either. We do have a public hearing, and I'm going to just bounce over that for just a minute to deal. We have some people in the audience that, before we get into the public hearing, I'd like to deal with that. So we have a presentation from the Elks Riders with the donation of Veteran Services Department. I'd ask them to come forward. Please just identify yourself, name and address, please.
Good evening. I'm Rich Gately, President of the Elks Riders.
Matthew Vance, Sergeant at Arms.
James Tripp, member.
Michael Wainwright, member.
And on the camera, I have Prita. She's going to be one of our new riders coming in very soon. And
Media coverage.
Mike Wainwright, also over here. He's brand new. So
Great.
he hasn't got a lot of the experience yet. But I'd just like to take a minute. This is our second trip this year, as most of you know. We did well this year, and as time goes on, our group is getting much larger. We've better than tripled in size in 3 years. So we're doing well. Just a little quick, most of our funds come from rides that we do. We travel wherever, there's rides everywhere, but we do veterans runs out of our lodge. And I am doing 2 this year. And the profits from that is what we've brought to Franklin from this past year. We also do multiple fundraisers throughout the year. And it's a great thing to be able to come up and hand out some checks. It's really awesome. So, and with that, anybody else got anything? Nope. Okay. I would like to present the town with a check for $1,000 for the Veterans Gift Fund. And that will be a second, that's actually our third donation this year. We've done well this year.
Mr. Chairman, I want to thank Rich and the entire Elks Riders organization once again for another very generous donation to our Franklin Veterans Gift Fund. This fund is so important. We use it in a complementary fashion with the Veterans Municipal Fund, and it can provide help with all kinds of things, dental bills, hearing aids, moving costs, all kinds of needs that a veteran or a widow of a veteran may have. So thanks to generous donations like yours and the support of the Elks, when veterans come to us, I'm able to help them out. So thank you to all of our donors, and again, thank you, Rich, and your crew.
Thank you, Shane. Okay, we'll go right to the resolution, and then we'll go back to the public hearing. So we'll go to Resolution 22-76, gift acceptance, Elks Riders donation to Veteran Services Department. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Resolution 22-76, acceptance of gifts for the Veteran Services Department. Whereas the Veteran Services Department has received a generous donation in the amount of $1,000 to be used at the discretion of the Department for programs and services as follows. Donation summary, Veteran Services Department, Veterans Gift Fund, $1,000, donated by the Elks Riders. Total amount donation, $1,000. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Council, the Town of Franklin, on behalf of the Veteran Services Department, gratefully accepts this generous donation to be used at the discretion of the department as described above. This resolution should become effective according to the provisions of the Town of Franklin Home Rule Charter.
Move Resolution 22-76.
Motion and a second. Discussion, Jamie?
All set.
Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 22-76. A majority vote's required. And since Councilor Pellegrini is not on,
We don't need to do it.
we do not need to do a roll call. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Okay. Going back to the Franklin tax classification hearing. And I would declare the public hearing open, please. Come forward if you just identify yourselves for our viewing audience, as well as our listening audience.
I'm Chris Feely. I'm the chairman of the Board of Assessors.
And I'm Kevin Doyle. I'm the Director of Assessing.
Jamie, did you want to do a lead in here?
I think most of the data is on the presentation,
Okay,
but.
that's fine.
Yep.
So first of all, that is myself, the staff, and the board, our effort has been a year long. Doesn't seem like it's been a whole year since we last came before you following our revaluation certification. And now we've had a whole year of additional production and have had approvals set in place for our new values for fiscal '23. And tomorrow we'll begin fiscal '24.
Don't rush into it.
Yeah.
Take a day off.
Yeah, take one day, maybe one day.
And then you won't take a day off.
One of the important factors in arriving at a $91 million plus levy this year is the new growth. We continue to work diligently, I'd rather say that than aggressively perhaps, in the field to make sure that we capture what's appropriate for new growth, and while we're making sure as well that the information that's gathered is gathered in a fair and equitable way, and the valuation process that follows that in likewise in a very much a fair and equitable way, so that we can present to you tonight the best file possible in terms of valuations. The new growth, I just wanted to speak a little bit to it. That it was very strong in the residential area this year, and likewise we had a pretty good year for both commercial and industrial. I mean, they're relatively moderate numbers, but there wasn't a tremendous amount of activity going on. Well, we're collecting this information from or July 1st of 2021 through June 30th of this year. That information, the status of the properties as of June 30th of this year, is what goes into the file for the valuations that will be presented next month.
Kevin, if I could just stop you
Yes.
for a second, I just want to announce to the public that Councilor Pellegrini is now on board. Joined us remotely. So please
Thank you.
continue.
Great. We still had a very strong year in personal property as well, business assets and utilities. And last year was $50 million. This year it was $42 million in value. So our growth was a good number at almost $1 million, just about $1.3 million in revenue to be added to the tax levy base, in addition to Proposition 2.5. That's illustrated on the next screen. Yeah, which is the levy limit built up from the limit allowed for fiscal '22 plus 2.5%, plus the growth that I just spoke about. And that brings us to a levy limit. And we're allowed to add to that number in the bottom section here, the final section on that chart, the debt exclusion. The total being a number, I believe it was very similar to last year's debt exclusion amount. And we're very close to the levy limit, all things considered. We can't go up another penny because of the penny rounding, basically. So there's always a little bit of a gap there between the maximum amount that could potentially be raised. But I think it's around $37,000. It appears on another calculation sheet, $37,000. The next page, because a lot of the work that we do deals with medians, we've chosen on this study to show the median valuation for a single-family home. We've selected that over a number of years. We've also done the mean, which is the pure average of single-family homes. But the median would be the middle value on an array of values that run from low to high. And that's at 563,100. The rate, the single tax rate for discussion purposes this year would be $12.58 per thousand. That would mean that for the average single-family home, there'd be an increase over last year of $469. The last page shows the chart shows the shift scenarios, showing at the top upper left indicating that we're still at about pretty close to an 80-20. It's actually just over 81% residential and a little under 19% commercial, industrial, and personal property. With the values the way they were increasing all through calendar year 2021, and they're continuing in 22, but for this purpose, the valuations are based on the market data collected for calendar 2021, and considering the kind of increases that there were in actual arm's length sales. We've done well, I think, to hold on to be close to these ratios, maintaining something close to 80%, and maintaining almost 20 on the commercial, industrial, and personal property. Based on the levy and based on the scenarios, you can take a look on the right, on the lower right, and see that for a factor of 1, a single tax rate would be $12.58. Whereas if you go down and look to save about $1, for an example, on the rate, you'll find that the commercial, industrial, personal property rate would have to be approximately $4.40 more. So it's more than 4 times the savings on the residential side. Did you have any specific questions at this time?
Any questions from the council at this juncture? Not yet. Continue, Kevin.
Thank you.
I think we're done.
That was the last slide.
Probably pretty close.
That's-
Yeah. This hearing is being conducted, I should have introduced this from the start, under the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40, Section 56. And it's an annual hearing, as you all know here, but for the general public, this occurs annually. And the council has historically voted for a factor of 1, which is a uniform rate for all classes of property. Another item is that there's a classification that has not been used by the Board of Assessors. It's called open space, but it shouldn't be confused with provisions that may be made in planning, the planning field, for example. So there's no, the discussion about a discount in that area is not applicable. The assessors have historically not seen data that would indicate that a small commercial exemption would be appropriate. There's only about a dozen communities in the state that are actually doing that now. And the commercial and industrial, if there's a discount to certain properties, the commercial industrial rate would have to be increased to cover that. So those two classes would have to make up the difference otherwise. So there would be a higher rate in those two classes. The residential exemption, likewise, only in about a dozen, I think maybe 13 communities last year. Found to be most relevant in communities where there's a large non-owner occupied population, that is the resort homes or the densely populated communities, large cities, Boston, Cambridge, Somerville, where they have major rental markets and large numbers of non-owner occupied residential properties. I think that may be about it in the initial presentation.
Thank you, Kevin. Questions or comments from the council? Councilor Hamblin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kevin and Chris, thank you so much for being here tonight. I know you guys work really hard, diligently, I think is what you said, right? Not aggressively.
Right.
And there was just one, so I wanted to thank you and your whole team for all the work that you do. There was one thing you said that I was just wondering about. You said that we have that the CIP percentage was pretty well. If I was wondering, like, what would it be if it was better or worse? Like, we have close to 80-20. Would if it was like 90-10, would you say it was bad or something like? Just like give us an example to explain that.
So what he meant to say was it's been pretty consistent.
Okay.
Not that it's good or bad.
Okay.
Right. So that 80-20 has been pretty consistent, going up and down for, I'm going to say, approximately 20 years or so that I've been involved with the town and everything. So I think at one point it was 79-21, but it stayed right in that range. So I think he should have used the word consistently.
Okay.
As opposed
Is
to good
that
or
what he meant?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just was thinking like, so it hasn't really changed that much.
No. And the point of presenting that is if you had it the other way, 80-20 commercial, industrial, residential, then you might want to do a dual tax rate.
Right.
Because you're relieving the residents, and the disparity on the commercial industrial is not as significant. But where we have it the exact opposite, in my personal opinion, not representing anyone but myself, the single tax rate is appropriate.
So if there was more commercial, the CIP, there was more of that property, and less residential, then if we did a dual tax rate, then it could be higher on the commercial, and it would relieve, is that what you mean?
The impact
Yeah.
isn't as significant
Right.
on the industrial.
It wouldn't be a
commercial
4 to
industrial.
1,
It's 4 to 1 now, and
Right.
it'd be 1 to 4 if it was flipped.
right?
So every dollar you increase the commercial industrial, if it was 80-20, you're reducing the residential by 4,
Right,
as opposed to the exact opposite of that now.
okay,
It works great if you have things like power plants in your community, big, huge commercial industrial property like that,
okay, so that's when the dual tax rate is a good thing to do.
in my opinion.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Hamblin. Any other councilors? Councilor Chandler?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, you can hear me nice
Yeah,
and
that's-
clearly tonight, right next to you.
He's gonna call you another name.
Thank you, man. Appreciate everything you both do for the town. I know you've been doing it for a while. I actually got a few questions from people on this, so I'm kind of excited. Bear with me for a minute. These new apartments that are all being built everywhere, that's not commercial, that comes under residential?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so if we went to a dual rate, they wouldn't get charged?
That's
more than-
correct.
Okay, that was a question. That's good to know. All right, let's see, what else, the only, you made a good point in your paperwork that you gave us. You basically said that a dual tax rate does not produce more tax revenue, it simply shifts the burden.
Correct.
Okay, I mean, that says it all, I like that statement. But, you know, to go to the dual, it's, I mean, the taxpayers could use a little less burden, you know? I mean, that's just, somebody's gotta say that. And I think because we've been 80-20, so I don't know if anybody would leave Franklin.
Would leave Franklin? Is that what you said?
They're industrial, yeah.
So, one of the things, and again, this is my opinion, I'm
Yeah, no,
not
please.
representing the Board of Assessors, it's my opinion. One of the things that people need to understand, that when you think of commercial industrial property, it's not just FedEx and EMC, it's smaller businesses like that Foot Doctor at the corner of Fisher Street and 140. It's the eye doctor, the dentist, the accountant, the small lawyer. It's not necessarily all these big industrial properties. It's people that are gonna pay that rate, and they're probably paying the residential rate already, because they probably live in town as well.
No, I'm glad you said that. I think people need to hear that. So
Yep.
that was some of the things I was getting at. And just lastly, if things were flipped, that the average family is going up $350, that's the 17%?
I'm not sure where you're seeing that.
That, in the average single.
the increase in
Average
taxes.
single
Oh,
family.
the average is.
That's
supposed
the
to
pure
be-
average,
yes,
right.
Yes.
So that'd be 350. And if it was flipped to a dual rate, what would the average home go up? Or would it actually go down?
So in the first year, it would probably, and again, we haven't done the math.
Yeah.
But off the top of my head, I would say it would go down slightly. However, the next year, it's probably gonna go up more significantly, because it's gonna decrease the value of the commercial industrial property, because they're paying higher taxes.
I got you. Okay, good. I wanted people to hear all this. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Chandler. Councilor Cormier Ledger?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To Councilor Chandler's point, can you guys just explain for our purposes and for those watching, how do apartment building owners contribute to the taxes here in town? Because I know that that doesn't fall on the apartment renters, so the landlord pays something to us, so how is that calculated?
So even though the apartment buildings are classified residential, they are valued through an income approach to value. That's what we rely on, in addition, if there were market information, sometimes like especially on the smaller apartments, like 4 to 8 units, there's quite a few of those in town, and we have market data for those every year. And there's a correlation between what they would sell for and what the income approach to value would indicate as the value, because the income approach to value is replicating what the investor would be looking at, and they're only gonna pay what, if they're gonna, it's gonna be profitable for them to make a purchase at a certain number of dollars. The larger complexes, we gather the rental information, we gather expense information, and there are also standards to look at regionally and nationally. And there's also the what's called the the return on investment. These factors of the gross income from the apartments, less the expenses, and then a capitalization rate, which is an indication of the kind of return someone would, or a firm would expect to get on an investment.
So to simplify the answer, what Kevin described is how we come up with the value for the property. The same as if it was a residential, single-family home, once you get that value, they're taxed at the exact same rate that the residential
So
home is.
regardless of anybody living in the unit or not, the landowner is paying a flat rate to the town?
No, there would be, if it's a big complex, like across the street, there would be some part of the calculation if there was a significant vacancy in the building. So, because that would decrease the value of the property.
Okay, thank you. Does that also, my second question, does that also translate to commercial? Like, for example, at, I don't know, Horace Mann Plaza, if they have empty storefronts, is the owner of the mall still paying the same rate to the town? Or is that all calculated at a different rate? Because I know some of these commercial landlords pass the taxes on through triple net to the tenants, but
Right.
I'm
But-
more concerned about seeing all the empty storefronts around town and how that impacts our taxes going forward.
So just for clarification, everybody pays the same rate. So I think what you're asking is the amount. So there would, again, if there's a significant vacancy for a significant amount of time, yes, that would factor in and it could reduce the value of the property.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Cormier-Ledger. Councilor Sheridan.
I thank you for all your work. Just so this point of clarification, when you say 80-20, does that mean the actual properties is 80% to 20%, or the contribution?
The values of the property is 80-20.
Okay.
Which then would correlate to contribution. as well.
Okay, so it's not the actual properties in the town?
Not the number.
Okay, great,
No.
thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Sheridan. Councilor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First off, gentlemen, thank you for the presentation. I enjoy these every single year that we've done this. It's just remarkable to me that I have to look all the way back to 2010 and 2011 to see the last time the tax rate was in the $12 range. That's extraordinary. But what I think one of the things, for point of clarification, both for the council and for the residents alike, is that the town of Franklin, just so everyone understands, we are only legally allowed to assess an additional 2.5% onto the assessed values of the town. And that's due to Proposition 2.5.
That would levy.
It's the levy,
It's the
not
levy.
the valuation.
Right,
Yes.
okay, so we levy an additional 2.5% onto the levy. One thing I think a lot of people don't understand is that since we are restricted by law to only be able to increase the levy by 2.5%, this is ultimately how we establish our budget, is through the taxes that we collect. And that the one thing everybody needs to understand is that this tax levy, the overall amount of assessed value that we put on our town, ultimately is an accumulation into our budget, and our budget isn't necessarily meeting the needs of the town on a 2.5% increase every single year. We have no control over that. And it's been since 1980, if I'm correct, since Proposition 2.5 was implemented, and we haven't, for as much as we've been levying the town since 1980, we haven't really actually fully been able to keep up with inflation. because if I'm correct, inflation on average between 1980 and today has been closer to 4%.
I don't know that.
Somewhere around that number. So what, the point that I'm getting at is that even though it's remarkable that we actually have a great assessed value for our community, and we are still able to levy a reasonable tax to meet our budget, it's still not enough to meet our needs, because every single year, we fall short of inflation. And we've been falling short of an on inflation now since Proposition 2.5 went in place in 1980. So for as great as these numbers look, it's still all gonna end up being short ultimately at the end of the day when it comes down to our budget, which means we're gonna need additional state aid and additional funding in order to try to make our ends meet. Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong if I'm saying that. But I just wanted to make that point, because even though these are all great numbers, we're still at the end of the day gonna end up being short meeting what our needs actually are. But with that being said, quick question. I know I ask this all the time, you're like, I don't really know the exact number. Is Franklin Village Plaza and Dell still the two largest tax contributors to the town of Franklin?
Yes.
Yes. So on average, Franklin Village Plaza and Dell are two of the largest tax levy contributors to our tax base.
Yeah.
So whenever anyone looks at their tax bills and says, oh my Lord, I paid, $5,500 a year on my taxes for my house, half of that's going to the schools, at least 56% of that. But the large percentage of the budget is actually funded by some of our very large commercial entities. And of the 100% of our town, 80% is residential, 20% is commercial industrial. And of that 20%, roughly 10% is about 15% is commercial, correct me if I'm wrong. But what I'm getting at is that our businesses in our town really are the backbone to this tax levy. And they really put a lot of tax dollars into contributing to this town. And I honestly, and I've said it every single year, the last thing we ever want to do is chase them away by supporting a split tax rate. Because businesses have a higher likelihood and an easier time to actually move out of town than a common resident would. Because there are other states like North Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee that offer all kinds of benefits to have businesses move to their towns and into their state. So it would be a disadvantage for us to actually ever think about going with a split tax rate.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you, Councilor Jones.
Thank you.
Councilor Frangillo.
Thank you. I'll also express my gratitude for all your hard work on this. Two separate points. One is just because I like any time that it's pointed out that Franklin Village is our largest tax contributor, to also point out that our largest tax contributor per amount of resources that it takes the town to service that place, per amount of space that they actually take up, our largest tax contributors by a large margin are your small businesses downtown. Those are still producing or contributing way more per the amount of space that they take up, sewer that they use, road that they use, all of that. So thank you, downtown businesses.
Schools as well.
Schools, yes. The other point, just because we jump over the residential, because in talking about relieving burden, this has been something that's been brought up just as an option for the town. That option that we have for relieving burden, and I'll ask you to correct me where I'm wrong, would be that residential exemption, which wouldn't be a relief across the board, but it would rather say that people who are living closer to the margin with a smaller house, smaller units, probably a larger share of their monthly expenses is going toward taxes, or annual expenses are going toward taxes, than someone with a large house and making more money. They're putting a larger, as a share of their total income, a smaller percentage going to taxes. And so what residential exemptions allow us to do is say, let's just not count the first $100,000 of your valuation. And what that does in effect is provide greater relief for smaller units, smaller homes, those of less value, and asks those with larger homes and worth more to pay a little larger share. That's what that residential exemption does, and it's one of the tools that we could use to, if we so chose. Do I have that right?
Yes, basically what it does is it shifts the burden within that tax classification.
Within the residential?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so that.
And the rate, of course, that class still has to raise the same amount of money as it would.
Still have to raise the same
if it had
amount.
not been in place, so. If that was one thing that was done and the only thing, the effort that was made, you would have a higher residential tax rate than your commercial, industrial, and personal property rate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the exact burden that they would be relieved is not what it appears on the surface. Because their rate on the remainder over the 100,000 would be higher as well.
Yeah. So essentially, taxes would go up for those with the largest, or with the highest value homes, and go down for those with the lowest value homes.
Correct.
Because they're paying different rates. So that's an option. That is one of the options that we have for relieving burden. But thank you for everything you presented today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor Frangillo. I would go to the audience now. Is there anyone, where this is a public hearing, is there anyone in the audience, in council chambers, that has a question or a comment regarding this issue, our tax classification, public hearing? Seeing no one in the audience, is there anyone out there in Zoom land that has a question or a comment? Not seeing anything, are you, Alicia?
I don't see anything.
Councilor Pellegrini, do you have a question or a comment? I guess not.
She's connecting to audio.
Oh.
She's connecting to the audio.
Jamie, anything to add?
Disconnecting.
All set, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. We will, first of all, thank you, as everyone has. Thank you very much for all the work you do. This is one of the most important things, if not the most important thing, that comes before the council on an annual basis. I wish there were more people that would come and watch or come to the council chambers, and hopefully they will on podcasts and replays of this meeting. So at this point, seeing no further questions or comments, I will declare the public hearing on the Franklin tax.
Chair, you do have one hand up.
Oh, one just came up. Mary Jane, is that Mary Jane? Mary Jane Schofield, I think, has her hand up. Please.
Yeah, sorry. It took me a minute to find where to raise my hand.
Okay.
Sorry. Just a quick question, clarification. That it was mentioned that some debt exclusions were being included in the total amount of the tax levy. I mean, are those existing? They'd have to be. But
Yes.
how much longer are those going to be on the rolls?
I think
looking for
we
an
got,
answer on that.
between the TA and treasurer collector, I think. we
Yeah,
can-
I think the treasurer collect. I think one comes off 24, 25.
Yeah, that's correct. Carrie Bertoni, Treasurer Collector, through you, Mr. Chairman. The Horace Mann, the first one, I think it's, I can't see, or is dropping off in 24.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, the Franklin High School is going to be on for a lot longer.
I'm well aware of that one.
But the others will be dropping off. So these, I hope that answers your question.
It does. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Mary Jane.
Thanks.
Is there anyone else? Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, then I will close the Franklin tax classification public hearing. And we will move on to legislation for action. And the first resolution is Resolution 22-77, Tax Classification Residential Factor. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Resolution 22-77, Tax Classification Residential Factor, whereas a public hearing on the property tax classification was held and closed on November 30th, 2022. Now therefore be resolved that the residential factor will be set at 1.
Move resolution 22-77.
Motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. Seeing no discussion, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 22-77. A majority roll call vote is required as we have remote participation. Clerk will call the roll.
Cormier Ledger.
Yes.
Sheridan.
No.
Chandler.
Yes.
Frangillo.
Yes.
Allegri.
Yes. Do you
Hamlin.
hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Hamlin.
Yes.
Jones, yes. Chair.
Yes.
8, 1 absent, sir.
Motion
I'm
carries.
sorry.
Oh, it's
My
7-1.
mistake. 7-1, sir. My mistake. 7
1-1.
yes, 1 no, and 1 absent, sir.
Motion carries. Resolution 22-78, Tax Classification Open Space Exemption. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Resolution 22-78, Tax Classification Open Space Exemption. Whereas a public hearing on the property tax classification was held and closed on November 30th, 2022. Now therefore be resolved that there not be an exemption for open space.
Move resolution 22-78.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion on the motion.
Move resolution 22-78.
Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 22-78. Again, a majority roll call votes required. Clerk will call the roll.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Cormier Ledger.
Yes.
Frangillo.
Yes.
Chandler.
Yes.
Hamlin.
Yes.
Allegri. Allegri.
You're muted.
She's going to accept.
Yes.
Jones, yes. Chair.
It's
Yes.
me, I'm unmuted.
8 and 1 absent, sir.
Motion carries. Resolution 22-79, Tax Classification Small Business Exemption. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Resolution 2279, Tax Classification for Small Business Exemption. Whereas a public hearing on the proper tax classification was held and closed on November 30, 2022. Now therefore be resolved that there not be an exemption for small businesses.
Move resolution 22-79.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 22-79. Again, a majority roll call votes required. Clerk will call the roll.
Cormier Ledger.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Chandler.
Yes.
Frangillo.
Yes.
Allegri. Allegri.
Yes.
Hamlin.
Yes.
Jones, yes. Chair.
Yes.
8, 1 absent.
Motion carries. Resolution 22-80, Tax Classification Residential Property Exemption. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Resolution 22-80, tax classification for residential property exemptions, whereas a public hearing on a property tax classification was held and closed on November 30th, 2022. Now therefore be it resolved that there not be an exemption for residential properties.
Move resolution 22-80.
Motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 22-80. Again, a majority roll call votes required. Clerk will call the roll.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Comilliger.
Yes.
Frangillo.
Yes.
Chandler.
Yes.
Pellegri.
Yes.
Hamblin.
Yes.
Jones, yes. Chair.
Yes.
8, 1 absent, sir.
Motion carries. Resolution 22-81, tax classification, senior means tested exemption. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Resolution 22-81, tax classifications, senior means test exemption, whereas a public hearing on the property tax classification was held and closed on November 30th, 2022. Now therefore be it resolved that there not be an exemption for senior means tested.
Move resolution 22-81.
Motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 22-81. Again, a majority roll call votes required. Clerk will call the roll.
Comilliger.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Chandler.
Yes.
Frangillo.
Yes.
Pellegri. Pellegri. Hamblin.
Yes.
Jones, yes. Chair.
Yes.
Just waiting on Pellegri.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
8,
you.
1 absent, sir.
Motion carries. Resolution 22-82, declaration of town-owned property containing South Franklin Congregational Meeting House located at 762 Washington Street as surplus and authorization for disposition, sale, to Old Colony Habitat for Humanity. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Resolution 22-82, declaration of town-owned property containing South Franklin Congressional Meeting House located at 762 Washington Street as surplus and authorization for disposition, sale of Old Colony Habitat for Humanities. Whereas the town has improved property containing a building known as South Franklin Congressional
Motion to waive
Meeting-
the reading.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to waive the reading. All those in favor of waiving the reading signify, got to be a roll call vote. Clerk will call the roll.
Comilliger.
No.
Sheridan. No. Chandler.
Yes.
Frangillo.
Yes.
Pellegri. To waive the reading.
Chandler? Yes. Frangillo? Yes. Pellegri?
Yes.
It's an 8-second delay.
Yep, it is. Hamblin.
Yes.
Jones, yes. Chair.
Yes.
It's 6-2. 6 yes, 2 no.
Motion carries to waive the reading. Yes. Councilor Hamblin, you want to move the resolution, please?
Move resolution 22-82.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Jamie, a summary, please.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, it's for all those at home, if you really want to dig through all the materials, I think those who are interested in this have been following this incredible project. You know, I just want to say really quickly a couple things. I just want to commend Councilor Pellegri, who's, you know, it's unfortunate she can't be here tonight in person. We know she's over Zoom, but I think if we look back, you know, Councilor Pellegri was one of the ones that took the Hail Mary pass and said, let's try to do something and figure it out. Mr. Chairman, I don't think I could have ever been sitting here and thought a year, 2, 5, 6, 7 years ago, we would ever be sitting here in this position. I don't want to over dramatize it, but I think we really do need to truly celebrate tonight's moment and the potential opportunity that's here for a family from town, as well as the opportunity to bring Habitat for Humanity into the community, which is a great thing for the town overall. And we get to preserve an old structure in Franklin that has had some hard times that some of you I know on this board know very, very well, and some of you at home know very well. So ultimately, we put out the applicable RFP, and fortunately, the community was able to have a response from Habitat for Humanity, who's here tonight with us, Kim Thomas, the executive director, and many of the volunteers that have been helping on this project. And ultimately, this is I believe, and the town attorney can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe tonight is the actual final vote that's required from the council to dispose of the property for surplus for the purposes of Habitat for Humanity taking over this building and converting it into what we expect to be an incredibly gorgeous single-family home for a family. We've went through a lot of debate on this, and I think this is the perfect use for the neighborhood and many of the concerns that they had. It's also, as you know, for those of you who drive down Washington Street, it looks a little different today than it did 10 years ago. There's a lot of great infrastructure improvements, bike lanes up to the state park, great amenities around the area. And so this is, I think, the highest and best use that the community could have for that building. So Old Colony Habitat for Humanity, again, is here in the audience tonight. And myself and the town attorney, O'Brien, are happy to answer any questions that folks may have.
Thank you, Jamie. And I can tell you, for one who have been sitting here for 12 years, I can tell you that it's been a topic of discussion every year that I've been here. So with that, I will open it up to questions from the council. Councilor Cormier Ledger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and it could very well be in the very lengthy packet, so I apologize if it is somewhere here. But at one of our previous meetings, we put the stipulation that this unit would go to a Franklin family. Has that been included in the RFP?
It has. You can't actually mandate 100% that it is, but you have what's called a local preference option, and I think that the folks at Habitat for Humanity are well aware of our preference. I don't believe legally we can do that, and so what we do in any contract or any agreement like this is we put in the highest, the priority that would happen, and I think that Kim and her team, she's shaking her head every time I talk to her. I make this point, but I think the town attorney addressed this at one point some months ago, that's the most we can do.
So I assume then Habitat for Humanity works with like the local housing authority or something?
I think it's a lottery.
Is that what
Am I correct, Kim? It's a lottery? Yeah, so that once the house is done, and then Habitat puts it out for a lottery process. And, I would like to think that there would be Franklin families that would apply, but we can't obviously mandate they do.
So is this model a little bit different where the family's identified after it's built, not before?
I believe so. Kim, do you want to just?
Because I know in some instances.
You want to come up to the mic real quick?
Buildings, that's maybe love to whatever.
Kim, just
Old Colony Habitat for Humanity. Thank you so much for this evening. We're very thrilled to be here. We would go through the application process and have the family be part of the build with the 250 hours of sweat equity.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not after the fact. They're
No, it would be
identified
during. It
beforehand.
would be during the whole event because it's really be a great opportunity for the community to come together with the family.
Fantastic. And will there be volunteer opportunities for folks that
Absolutely.
would like to help?
Yes, very
So
much.
you keep us posted about that.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'm sure Councilor Jones would love to assist.
Absolutely.
Councilor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I'm very excited for this project. I'm so glad this is moving forward. And no, Mr. Chairman, you're not wrong. I would be more than happy to contribute. I know that where I work at the Boston JATC, we have fellow co-workers of mine as well as apprentices who actually currently already help out Habitat for Humanities on the North Shore, but we're looking to come down here to the south side of the city and help out in any way that they can too. So that, again, that offers out there to help out in any way that we possibly can. And obviously, my support would also go towards, Franklin family if that ultimately becomes an opportunity. that would be great. We, like Mr. Chairman said, we've been talking about this for a long time. It's really nice to see this property being repurposed, and for such a great reason. And it's just nice that that Habitat for Humanities has really stepped up like this. I know when we were on the EDC having this discussion, we kind of going back and forth. When this came across our plate, I was like, that's a home run. This is really going to be great. Thank you so much, and thank you, Council, for taking this into consideration.
Thank you, Councilor Jones. Councilor Hamblin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kim and the team from Habitat for Humanity, thank you so much for your notice of interest even at the very beginning with that Councilor Jones mentioned that we discussed this at the EDC level. And it's just really exciting because I think there's a historic preservation restriction on this as well. And so the exterior of that building will be kept just the way it is. And I think that's what all of us want. We want to see it being used, but we also want to see it staying the same so we have that historic view of that beautiful building. And thank you for actually agreeing to all of our maybe crazy restrictions, but I think it's very important. And that we have a new affordable housing unit and a perpetual, perpetuity, thank you. It's just so exciting for me to, it's been one of those things I've been thinking about for a long time. How do we save this beautiful space and building and let someone use it? And I think the family that lives there is gonna love it too. So thank you so much. Thank you to the, our town administrative team for putting this together for us. I think it really shows how much that you listen to us and what we want. And so that's really important, I think, for the community to understand as well. So thank you so much again, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for letting me ramble on for a minute. Longer than Glenn.
That's sometimes very hard to do. Thank you, Councilor Hamblin. Councilor Sheridan?
I just want to say, I'm kind of concerned about this Franklin family comment, because my family was a Norwood family until we bought a house in Franklin and become a Franklin family. So if one of my students' families from Brockton, when we come there, they'd be a Franklin family. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Sheridan. Any other councilors? Comments from councilors? Councilor Pellegrini, anything to add?
Can I vote present?
Yes, I would like to say that I'm very happy about tonight's meeting. I'm just so sorry that I wasn't able to be there to be part of this. To say that I'm very happy about tonight's meeting. I'm just so sorry that I wasn't able to be there to be part of this. To say that I'm very happy about tonight's meeting. I'm just so sorry that I wasn't able to be there to be part of this. To say that I'm very happy about tonight's.
Thank you, Councilor Pellegrini. Okay.
I have no idea why this happened.
No, Councilor Pellegrini, I understand. There is a delay with the way you are remoting in. So it's like 8 seconds after. So.
There you go, exactly.
Just mute when not talking, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm very much in favor of this and love having this come forward to us finally with what I think is the perfect use for this historic landmark of our community. I want to make sure we're getting the bell, though.
We're getting the bell.
Okay.
They don't want the mother and father who are going to live there don't want the bell.
Well,
and I know we get, just for Councilor Pellegrini's assurance at home, we know we have to deal with the pews. We've had some people, Kim saying please take them away. But
Pellegrini's assurance at home, we know we have to deal with the pews. We've had Kim saying please take them away. But Pellegrini's assurance.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Any questions or comments from the audience? Anyone out there in Zoom land?
There she is.
Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 22-82. A two-thirds majority roll call vote is required. Clerk will call the roll.
Cormier Ledger.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Abstain.
Chandler.
Yes.
Frangillo.
Yes.
Pellegri.
Sheridan. Abstain. Chandler.
Yes.
Frangillo. Yes.
We
Pellegri.
can double check the vote.
Pellegri. Hamblin.
Yes.
Jones, yes. Chair.
Yes. Councilor Pellegri, could we have your vote?
She's muted now. She can't unmute.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Are you
Nice.
hearing me?
Yes. That is 7 yes, sir, 1 abstain, and 1 absent, sir.
Motion carries. Congratulations. Okay, moving on. Resolution 22-83, downtown parking lot kiosks authorization. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I get my cheaters on. Resolution 22-83, appropriation receipts reserved for appropriation parking fund. Total amount requested, $24,239. The purpose, to see if the town will vote to transfer and appropriate from receipts reserved for appropriation parking fund, reserve in the amount requested for the purchase of 3 Flowbird Strata multi-use kiosks to manage payments for parking at 2 municipal parking lots. Motion be moved and voted by the town council that the sum of $24,239 be transferred and appropriated as indicated above from the receipts reserved for appropriation parking fund. This resolution shall become effective according to the provisions of the Town of Franklin Home Rule Charter.
Move resolution 22-83.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Jamie?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, so this is the actual authorization for the money to buy the Flowbird kiosks that would be installed in the new parking lots, well, the Depot Street lot and the Ferraris lot, based on the bylaw changes that were made a couple months ago.
Thank you, Jamie. Questions or comments from the council? Councilor Hamblin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to say how excited I am that this is the next step in opening up the parking to first come, first served in the downtown area. And I think this is one of,
To first come first.
sorry, this is what we need to do downtown, and this is what we've been trying to do to open it up, so the parking up, so that people will go downtown and go to our wonderful businesses down there. So I'd like to thank, I think Alicia found this. Did Alicia find this?
And Kristen from the police department.
And Kristen for finding this kiosk. And I did have one question. Will it be able to take, since it takes all different cards, will it be able to take the Franklin First card? No, okay.
But to Councilor Hamlin's question, it does take cash, it does take change, it does take debit cards, it does take credit cards, and it does do an app. So everybody has an option to pay, depending on who they are, how they use money.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Hamblin. Councilor Chandler?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, a couple points of inquiry. First, I'm really glad that it uses coins, because there's a lot of people that don't want to use the app. Mr. Cass back there. Secondly, speaking of the coins, who's going to empty this? Oh, sorry to stay.
She left. She left, the treasure collector.
She's going to go down with these.
Jim Dacey did it for 20 years.
He didn't, the parking control, he didn't do that.
Yeah, he did. Jim Dacey? He would go down and take, maybe not all of it.
He collected the coins?
Yeah, and you would walk into the bank and deposit them.
Okay. All right, I don't remember that, but that's, I'm sure it happened.
I think what Councilor Chandler is referring
Right.
to is when we had the parking meters downtown, the police would empty
Oh,
them into
so
a
she-
big container,
Carrie
and then
Bertoni's
she
gonna go
would
down
take
there with
that.
these 3 mobile coin boxes we bought for $572.
We could have the police go down. I mean, I just think maybe we hadn't gotten quite to that point, but like.
I know, I
in the-
just, I don't like.
But I mean, the
loose
treasurer
ends.
collector, we quickly talked to her about this.
Yeah.
And about how the money's gonna go, because there's obviously the fund that we have to put the money into legally.
Jamie,
I will
could you,
admit, we
could you
have,
get that, speak to Kerry and speak to the chief?
Sure.
And let's figure out, and come back to the council telling us,
sure.
okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, she's very trustworthy to bring it to the bank. I didn't even know what bank we were gonna use, or, but,
It's with Dean.
okay,
It's with Dean. I know that for sure.
thank you. And that was my main one. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Chandler. Councilor Cormier Ledger.
That was really to my point, Mr. Chairman, was about the collection. And really, I mean no disrespect to those in the audience or at home that may still be using coins and cash, but wouldn't it be safer and more economical to us to not have that option?
It would be, but I think at the same time, like, I think we're kind of in, I think to some of the other points, I think we're cutting people out who are gonna get frustrated without coins or cash, and I just think that having that available, to be honest, I really don't think the daily users are gonna use a lot of cash or coins. They're gonna end up using debit cards, and maybe some on the app. If you're a commuter, you're probably just gonna do the app and do your thing each day, but I think also, this is part of the point of collecting some data. I mean, I don't really know the human behavior of paying, but I think if we had chosen a product that didn't allow cash or coins, we'd be getting pushback from people saying, we can't do that, I don't want the app. And so just having the choice available for people, especially as this inception, is kind of the way to go. And a lot of the communities up on the North Shore, Gloucester, Essex, Newburyport, all of them use Flowbird. It's a pretty popular product, so, I don't know. But it would be safer for sure, and Carrie would certainly love it if nobody paid cash or because it would make the reconciliations a lot easier administratively, but,
It's 2022, I know.
well, we also get a large portion of people that don't pay their dog license online because they don't want to pay a 25-cent fee and on the principal, and they come in and they say, I'm giving you a check, and that check, to your point, from a staff management perspective, does cost a lot more money from staff time and benefits and everything to process those checks, but people would also be irate, I think, if we didn't allow a check. It would just, it's just tough.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Cormier Ledger. Councilor Sheridan.
Could we pay parking by check? Okay.
Any other questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 22-83. Again, a majority roll call votes required. Clerk will call the roll.
Cormier Ledger.
Yes.
Sheridan. Yes. Chandler.
Yes.
Frangillo.
Yes.
Pellegri. Hamlin.
Yes.
Jones, yes. Chair.
Yes.
Pellegri.
Councilor Pellegri, can we have your vote, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
8, 1 absence.
Motion carries.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Okay, moving on. Resolution 22-84, 2023 Town Council meeting schedule. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Resolution 22-84, 2023 schedule of town council meetings, 2023 dates, January 4th, January 18th, February 1st, February 15th, which is a school vacation, February 15th, February 15th, which is a school vacation, March 1st, joint budget subcommittee, March 15th, April 5th, April 12th, school vacation, May 3rd, FinCom, May 24th, operational budget hearing 1, May 25th, operational budget 2, June 7th, June 21st, July 19th, August 16th, September 6th, September 20th, October 11th, October 18th, November 1st, election day, and November 15th, December 6th, tax rate hearing, and December 20th, sir.
October 18th, November 1st, election.
Hold on. The election day is the 7th, not the 1st. You said, you read just election day, but
No, I read November 1st, and it says FYI election days.
November 7th.
Okay.
That's a 7th.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Just wanted to clarify that.
Thank
Move resolution 22-84.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. Councilor Cormier Ledger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is to the town administrator. Have all various religious holidays been examined before submitting this to us?
Yes, the one conflict, depends on how you define religious holidays, is all, but the one conflict is on April 5th is Passover. And I think this is unfortunately something that folks are gonna have to decide here, is at some point, there's just only so many Wednesdays we can do. And we could move or cancel a FinCom meeting for April. You could move that April 5th to April 29th, or you could meet during school vacation week. In the past, we've been told school vacation week is off limits to have a meeting. I only mention that because, you know, we had a discussion in the office and you know, these are traditionally the 1st and 3rd. At some point, we have to make some decisions as a group about what's available and what's not.
And to that point, Councilor Cormier Ledger, we can chat offline and see if we can make an adjustment in this down the road if we need to.
Okay, my own personal opinion would be to make the adjustment now before it's published. Just seems more considerate, but I am relieved to see at least that Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur were taken into account when I look at 2023. We're not here, from what I can tell, on those high holidays like we were this year, which is good. It's a step in the right direction. Did we look at Indian holidays as well?
I think we looked at everything that was on the Google Calendar.
We tried
for
to
religious
look- we
holidays,
tried to
but
look at everything.
I'm gonna be honest, like,
Okay.
I'm just,
No,
I'm
I know
I'm just,
there's a lot. We take a lot of pride in being a diverse community.
We do.
and it needs to be reflected in our calendar.
well, Councilor Cormier Ledger, honestly, that's a debate in my 7 years we haven't had. And so if that's the policy of the council, that's the decision of the council, but the council has to say, these religious holidays, all religious holidays, no religious holidays. I think it's, from an equitable standpoint, cherry plucking ones makes it even more challenging. There are some that may be practical, like a Passover or Rosh Hashanah, and there are some that where faiths don't, you know, believe in the same stuff. So I don't know. I will be honest with you, I don't know exactly how to deal with all of that. I don't know which ones we're supposed to honor and not. When we say all, you're right, diverse community. On the other hand, public hearings, people don't have to show up to give their input. They can email, they can phone call, they can do other things. The school calendar is obviously a much different beast when dealing with this issue than a town-wide one. So, I mean, we tried to do the best we could. I know that Passover also is very difficult for anybody to come on that evening because of what the observance is. So, just my couple thoughts. Thank you.
You still have the floor, Councilor Cormier Ledger.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would be in favor of amending the calendar for that April 5th to, if we could, in light of the comment about Passover, but otherwise I'm fine with the calendar dates as described.
Okay.
So you need a second?
You need
Amended
to
to
make
when?
an amendment to
To
the
what?
motion with a date.
Yeah, Okay.
Right, we need a date.
You need to plug something in there.
So it would be the
It's the only way it can happen.
19th.
That's why I said,
It's the 19th is the school vacation week. And so if everybody's here, nobody's going anywhere during school vacation week, you could do that week. And then the week after the 26th, it's okay, but I'd have to cancel the finance committee meeting that's set up for that night. But again, that's okay, you know, they're meeting in budget hearings 2 weeks later for 4 nights in a row, so maybe they would take a night off. But, you know, I'm just trying to follow the general structure.
how does the
of that.
19th work for everybody? Just kind
That's
of
the
give me a
non-
nod.
non-school vacation?
That's a
Yeah,
school
that would work
vacation.
better,
That is a school vacation.
Yeah, that's what it said.
That would, I mean, I'd prefer the 26th.
I would prefer the 26th.
Yeah.
Okay, make the motion.
Okay, so I believe I'm making a motion to, is cancel April 12th and release the
Fifth.
April 26th?
Fifth.
I'm sorry, and we're gonna get rid of the April 5th meeting and have 2 meetings in April, be the 12th and the 26th.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion on the amendment. Seeing none, the vote will come on the amendment first, which is changing the April 5th meeting to April 26th. Majority votes required. Clerk will call the roll.
Cormier Ledger.
Yes.
Charity.
Yes.
Chandler.
Yes.
Frangillo.
Yes.
Pellegri.
Excuse me.
Pellegri.
Yes. Frangillo. Yes. Pellegri.
Yes.
Hamblin.
Yes.
Jones, yes. Chair.
No.
That is 7 yes, 1 no, sir.
Motion carries. Okay, the vote will now come on the motion as amended. And the clerk will call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Cormier Ledger.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Chandler.
Yes.
Frangillo.
Yes.
Pellegri.
Chandler. Yes. Frangillo. Yes. Pellegri.
Yes.
Hamblin.
Yes.
Jones, yes. Chair.
Yes,
It's 8, 1 absent, sir.
motion carries. Okay, moving on, zoning bylaw amendment 22-887, zoning map changes on or near Lincoln Street and Lincolnwood Drive. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is zoning bylaw amendment 22-887, zoning map changes for rural residential 2 and single-family residential 3 to rural residential 2 and single-family residential 3 in the area on or near Lincoln Street and Lincolnwood Drive. A zoning bylaw amendment to Code of the Town of Franklin, Chapter 185, Section 5 zoning map. Be enacted by the Franklin Town Council, the Code of the Town of Franklin is hereby amended by making the following amendments to subsection 185-5 zoning map, that the zoning map of the Town of Franklin be amended by changing from rural residential 2, single-family residential 3 to rural residential 2, an area containing 35.26 plus or minus acres comprising the following parcels of land as shown on the Town of Franklin's assessors map. Parcel numbers 243-043-000, 243-045-000, 243-046-000, 243-053-000, 243-082-000. And the zoning map of the Town of Franklin be amended by changing rural residential 2 and single-family residential 3 to single-family residential 3, an area containing 3.02 plus or minus acres, comprising the following parcels of land as shown in the Town of Franklin assessors map. Parcels number 243-047-000, 243-052-000, 243-064-000, 243-065-000, 243-066-000, sorry, 243-067-000, 243-068-000. The area be rezoned as shown to be attached map, proposed zoning map changes in area on or near Lincoln Street and Lincolnwood Drive. The foregoing zoning bylaw amendment shall take effect in accordance with the Franklin Home Rule Charter and Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 5.
Move resolution 22-887
To the planning board.
to the planning board.
That's referral to.
A referral.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion, Jamie.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, so this is part of the lot line cleanup series. It's the first one of the year. The chair of the EDC and Brian are both here to comment or answer any questions. As you can see on the map up on the screen, On the areas circled in red, these are zoning districts where there are multiple zoning districts within the same parcel. And so these are designed to try to make them so that they're more consistent. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Questions? Certainly, this comes through the EDC, so
Well,
I
was
would
gonna say,
ask
do
the
we wanna have,
EDC chairman.
do we want to have Brian talk first, or we don't have? So this went through the EDC, we discussed this. This was actually one of the multi-year projects, a project that's been going on for a long time, just to clean up the zoning, to make all of a parcel, one zone. And we're cruising along, I think we're almost done. No. We're getting there. And it's pretty straightforward. If you look at the map, you can see. But Brian's here, he can fill us in, fill anybody in. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Hamblin. Any questions from the council? Brian, anything you wanted to add to what Jamie said? Or
Not really.
Melanie?
I think just one note, and that is that when we look at which district to put it in, we want to make sure that there is no loss in value, property value, or anything of that nature. So that's just something we should mention right off the bat.
That was the point I was going to ask you to make.
Absolutely.
Any other questions or comments from the council? From the audience? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to refer zoning bylaw amendment 22-887 to the planning board. And a majority roll call votes required. Clerk will call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sheridan.
Yes.
Homeolager.
Yes.
Angelo.
Yes.
Chandler.
Yes.
Hamblin.
Yes.
Pellegri. Pellegri.
Yes?
Jones, yes. Chair.
Yes.
8, 1 absent.
Motion carries. Resolution 22-85, public property naming and memorial installation policy. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Resolution 22-85, Public Property Naming and Memorial Installation Policy. The Franklin Town Council, on behalf of the Town of Franklin, hereby adopts the Public Property Naming and Memorial Installation Policy dated November 30th, 2022. Attached hereto is Exhibit 1. This resolution should become effective according to the provisions of the Town of Franklin Home Rule Charter.
Move resolution 22-85.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Jamie?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. So I've been asked this many times before, and I will have a good laugh with my predecessor. I hope you guys can too. For many of you that know, many times people would say, oh, we want to name something on town property, we want to install something. And Jeff would always say, oh, we have a policy on that and we don't allow it. So a couple of people came forward, and Mark and I had a conversation. A few people have approached me over the last several months. And we've looked high and low for a policy. There is none. At one point, there was rumors, or there was folks that said that there was a bylaw on it. There is no bylaw on it. And so to make sure it's clear to both the public as well as our departments and staff and everybody here, this is the attempt to put a formal policy in adoption so that everybody's on the same page and we're not just kind of making up random rumors, or something was in a desk somewhere, it got recycled or thrown out. Maybe there was a policy someday, I don't know, but we couldn't find it, so we're taking this opportunity to do this now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Questions or comments from the council? Councilor Sheridan.
Chair, through you. Interesting enough, I looked at those signs, like the veteran signs. There are a lot of squares named after people.
That's right.
So at one point they were doing it. Yeah.
I think ultimately, like the policy says, the council has the authority to do the naming of public property. And so maybe at some point there were votes on those things. But I do expect them to continue to come up, so it's good to be on the same.
I believe most of those were voted by the council.
Okay. Specifically.
And what we're trying to do with this, and I talked to Jamie at length about this, is just putting the sole authority to do that here at the council. which is where it belongs. So,
Okay.
it can continue to be done.
Yeah.
It just has to, for sure, come before us before anything's ever named for anybody or anything. Councilor Frangillo.
Yes, thank you, through you. I just want to clarify, it's my understanding that this doesn't cover the separate issue of public art installations, right? If someone were to propose a statue, this is not intended to cover that.
It depends. If it was the statue of Joe, yes.
Permanent, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
This doesn't include art that
It's like
we were.
murals.
Only,
No,
again,
no.
public property. It doesn't include like private property. So if somebody wanted to do a mural on the side of the municipal building, yes, it would.
Okay, all right. So
Right?
I'll-
So it's just public property, streets.
Anything on
I put
public
an annoying list in here of like exhaustive list of, really, I mean, I just wanted to really be widespread. I mean, this is streets, sidewalks. Patrick, you just mentioned like squares, right? This is everything that's public property. So if it's a building and if it's an installation of some sort, yes, it would require that. Because you're under the care custody, you have the sole care and custody of all public property, with the exceptions that were in here for the school department and conservation
Right.
commission, who own land, like Delcart, they have authority over those spaces, because they're actually technically the deeded owner of that property. But everything else has to come through the council.
Okay. Okay, so it would, I'm trying to think of an example, like a panther statue over the bridge next to the, what do we call that?
The island?
Yeah, the island.
The island's actually owned by the MBTA, I believe.
Okay.
Poor example.
How about just a sidewalk? You want to put a panther
Sure.
on a sidewalk?
On
Yeah.
a sidewalk.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Thank
All
you.
set? Thank you, Councilor Frangillo. Councilor Cormier Ledger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jamie, would an exception to this rule be veteran services? Because like when they get donations for bricks and things like that for the memorial garden, they don't need to go to us to approve them. They just install the bricks.
That's correct. Usually there's some sort, if there was like the brick walkway, or the library, that's all already done through the building project or through another appropriation or something of that, and then we designate the veterans officer, for example, to do the brick program. Or in the library case, Mr. Chairman, I think
Those
the
votes
brick-
came to
those-
us anyway
those
to
votes
put
came
them
here
in
anyway,
place.
Yeah. So those would come through the council beforehand anyway.
Okay. And my only other comment, well, just for the public and for it to be on record, will we be actually reading this policy tonight? Or
It'll be online. It'll be on the town's website. We could.
You could read it, yeah.
I'd be happy to.
Would it be possible for the clerk to read that, Mr. Chairman?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
He did take his speed reading class.
I know he enjoys it so much.
Well, it feeds my narcissism. Public property naming memorial installation policy. Naming public property or memorializing space on public property is an important matter that deserves thoughtful attention. Personal prejudice or favoritism, political pressure, or temporary popularity should not be an influence in naming. Public property should be named only for distinguished individuals or organizations who have made extraordinary contributions to the town of Franklin or public service. The Franklin Town Council has sole authority to name, rename, or revoke the naming of any public property. All proposals, gifts, or any other recommendations to the naming of the public property, including honoring individuals or organizations through memorial plaques, shall be submitted to the Town Council for approval. Public property includes any and all public property under the care, custody, and control of the Franklin Town Council, including but not limited to buildings, both structures and surrounding groundings and interiors thereof, other facilities and structures, and public lands, ways, and other public spaces and improvements thereon, not under legal control of other government entities. There's an extra space between to and not. But, that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any other, Councilor Chandler?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick question. So under this, the schools has a 3-year period on someone that's died. We don't have any there's none of that, right? It can, I was kind of getting at, like, with Shannon here, God forbid someone died in the line of duty from Franklin, there's no, and they want to name something after that person, there's no timeline, or we're not,
We didn't put one in.
we didn't put one in, that's
We
what I'm
didn't-
getting at.
We didn't put one into
Okay,
this
thank you,
policy.
because I saw the schools had a 3-year
Yep.
window, and I just wasn't going to accept that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Counselor Hamblin?
Just very quickly, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I always appreciate procedures to understand the process of how things happen. And I think this is a great idea to actually have this in writing, so we know what the process is and everyone is clear on it. So I thank the town administration team for doing this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Counselor Hamblin. Counselor Frangillo?
I apologize for coming back to it. And it would be helpful if I could just understand where it gives us the power to say, accept a Panther statue. I see why we could name it Bob the Panther, but I don't want to get too I just want to make sure that is being covered or that it should be covered separately.
Attorney Sorrell?
It's an incident of your authority, legal authority, having care, custody, control of property. The example of streets and public ways is pretty straightforward. You absolutely can say no to anything in there that is other than for the primary purpose of traffic back and forth. So you've got that discretion already. So it's inherent in your authority. This is just
Okay.
spelling it out and setting forth the parameters.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
So you really quickly, Mr. Chairman, the memorializing space on public property. To answer his question correctly.
Memorializing space.
It's the first sentence.
Yeah, okay. Okay, got it.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the council? From the audience? Name and address, please.
Steve Sherlock, Lawrence Drive. This does not affect anything that's already in place. This just confirms the process for anything going forward.
That is correct.
Just clarification, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 22-85. Again, a majority roll call votes required. Clerk will call the roll.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Cormier Ledger.
Yes.
Frangillo.
Yes.
Chandler.
Yes.
Hamblin.
Yes.
Pellegri.
Yes.
Cormier Ledger.
Yes.
Frangillo.
Yes.
Chandler.
Yes.
Hamblin.
Yes.
Pellegri.
Yes.
Cormier Ledger. Yes. Jones, yes. Chair.
Yes.
8-1 absence.
Motion carries. Town Administrator's report.
The only thing I want to mention, Mr. Chairman, I just want to send unfortunately, I was unable to make it down there today to the senior center, but Consulate Pellegri brought this up. I just want to congratulate Sue Barber on a great retirement. Today was her last day, as well as Maggie Gunderson. I want to thank them for their service. I know we will see both back as work-off program folks. I know Sue will be no stranger, but if she is out there listening, I want to thank her and congratulate her, and I'll be sending a note as well. Other than that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jamie. Moving, any questions, Jamie? Okay, subcommittee reports. I think the only subcommittee that's met has been the EDC. So, Councilor Hamblin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, the EDC met tonight before before this meeting. We discussed the first ever inclusionary zoning bylaw to be in Franklin. We don't have one yet. We're one of the few municipalities around us that don't have one yet. So this is in our housing production plan, and so we had a lively discussion. It will come to the full council whenever it can get fit on the agenda, and hopefully we'll have another lively discussion about it there. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Hamblin. Any questions for Councilor Hamblin? Okay, GATRA, nothing. Okay, moving on, future agenda items. Councilor Sheridan.
Nothing at this time.
Councilor Frangillo.
I think the only thing would be, we had at one point talked about creating a policy for if an art project comes forward, how we deem it of enough artistic merit. And it does seem still useful to both spell out how something should be proposed and who should review it before leaving it to our final approval. So it would be nice to revisit that perhaps at EDC.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Frangillo. Councilor Hamblin.
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Councilor Cormier Ledger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to second Councilor Frangillo's recommendation on adapting some sort of art policy for the town.
Thank you. Councilor Chandler.
Nothing at this time.
Councilor Jones.
No, sir.
Councilor Plagri. Councilor Plagri.
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. Moving on. Councilor comments. Councilor Chandler. Mix it up a little bit.
Already here. I would just like to thank again the Elk Riders, the Elks Riders. They're great, you know, they really are. They've come to a lot of other things too that maybe some people haven't seen them at. And we're lucky to have that organization, not just the Riders, but the Elks in general in Franklin. I think that's nice. And maybe we can give Elisa a shout out too, speaking of the veterans tonight. I saw that Steve Sherlock's podcast that you're moving the veterans on from the senior roles onto the work-off program so we can add spots.
Yes.
I think that's awesome, getting more
yeah,
people
they're-
involved in that. So I'm
Yep.
gonna give you guys a shout out for that. Thank you. And that's it.
Thank you, Councilor Chandler. Councilor Frangillo.
Nothing. No, thank you. Yeah.
Loaded up at EDC.
Did a lot of
Councilor
talking today.
Cormier Ledger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank our DPW department and the volunteers for the beautification around town, both the common and all of the downtown areas with the holiday decorations, lights, plants, everything just looks fantastic. And I know that there were staff and volunteers alike that got together for that. I also wanted to offer my condolences over, I'm sure people saw the news, but I just want to at least publicly mention my condolences to Isabella Cruz's family, the freshman at Tri-County who died tragically due to an asthma attack over the holiday. Very, very, very sad, and hope the family knows that we're keeping them in our thoughts. And also the family of Sharon Taylor, a very young mom here in town who passed very suddenly, and the services were over the weekend. I know many people knew and loved her, so please know that we're thinking of that family as well.
Thank you, Councilor Cormier Ledger. Councilor Hamblin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too would like to thank the Elk Riders. They do such a wonderful job for our veterans. Thank the hockey team, the boys and girls hockey team, Downtown Partnership and Eileen Mason for organizing the decorations and for actually doing all the work down there. It was a lot of fun. It wasn't too cold, so
And
it was.
Dean.
And Dean, yes, that's exactly. Thank you,
Lacrosse, I
Councilor
think?
Frangillo. The Dean lacrosse team came down too, and they helped clean up all along the fence line in the parking lot. So if you go down there and everything's all cleaned up, it's like because they collected bags and bags of trash. I was there with them for a while, and it wasn't too much. It wasn't too much fun, but they were great. They worked really hard. There's some weird stuff in there. But
We won't ask.
the Winters Farmers Market is at Fairmont Fruit Farm this Saturday from 10 to 2. So there's a lot of fresh foods there and craft people. So head on down to that. You know, tomorrow would have been my dad's 97th birthday, and you know I've been thinking about him a lot lately, and I think he would just want me to remind people just to try to be kind to each other. it's pretty hard out there sometimes, so let's all give each other a break. But, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hamblin. Councilor Sheridan?
Yeah, I agree with everything everybody said, and also just add, we'd like to thank the Franklin Fire Department and the people who organized the downtown Santa visit Sunday. It was sad for me, first time my kids didn't go.
Thank you, Councilor Sheridan. Councilor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Most has been said. I do want to kind of piggyback with Councilor Cormier Ledger and with the Taylor family. Mr. Taylor is a local 103 electrician. I was very sad to hear his wife passed away suddenly, and I did go by the wake to see. And condolences to the family. They're really such a great family. But I'm looking forward to the holidays. I think they did such a nice job with the Commons. Me and my wife take the dogs down there on a regular basis, and the lights look great, as usual, on a daily basis. And we did end up taking our family photo with backdrop of the Santa Claus right here on the Commons. So I don't know who yet my wife's going to be sending Christmas cards to, but it can be known that it was taken on the front of the town Commons.
I was just going to say, I didn't get one.
Haven't sent them out yet. I'll text it to you.
Thank you. Councilor Pellegrini?
Nothing at this time.
Thank you.
Just that I will.
Okay. Again, I would just like to reiterate pretty much what all my fellow councilors have said. Obviously, thanking the Elks Riders and our community, our downtown, our common, really looks so festive during this holiday time that it's great, and I, implore all of our residents to come down, take a walk around. It's a great place and a great place to take an evening stroll, for sure. Okay, seeing no need to have an executive session this evening, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Non-debatable. All those in favor, clerk will call the roll.
Cormier Ledger.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Chandler.
Yes.
Angelo.
Yes.
Hamblin.
Yes.
Jones, yes. Pellegrini. Get us out of here, Deb.
Yes. Pellegrini.
Yes.
Chair.
Yes,
8-1 absence.
Get us out of here.
we are adjourned. Thank you, Councilor Pellegrini, and thank you, everyone who tuned in and everyone who came out in this windy, rainy evening.